I will say this. This has been an issue that has weighed very heavily on many, many hearts.
There's sort of an us versus them type of feel that's going on.
Because there are people that are very passionate on both sides of the aisle.
Absolutely.
You know, and what do? Do we just say, this side does this side does this? The recent actions of the annual council were trying to address union conferences that chose to step outside of the general conference guidelines. And so, you know, a response was drafted recently about that. I felt that if they had just stayed with that statement that came about in November at the North American Division, I think that would have been well done. Now, I don't know how the church would have voted it. It was a response. But some of the measures that were taken, I was saddened to see it as somewhat retaliatory. And that's so unfortunate when that happens. Probably what's on the minds of most people today is, why is the position of the church adverse to accepting women into the role of being an ordained minister? A lot of times people kind of blame the rest of the world church, saying, you guys are in third world countries like in Africa and Inter-America, and so you guys have a different opinion of women. Ray, that's not absolutely true. There's that much division within the United States of America. There's a lot of division here in the United States regarding the role of women in ministry. And so it's very unfortunate when we simply blame the rest of the world church. You know, there will be some in the church that will say, yes, there are clear biblical issues, because they'll take certain passages out of Scripture and point to this. You know, for example, a woman should never speak in church. Well, we've got problems. What do we do with Ellen White? She spoke many times in church. There are principles that are global and timeless in their perspective. But in terms of the specific way that some things are carried out, we depend upon a structure of decision making that is guided by those delegates that we spoke about earlier.
In closing, not taking a stance or a position, not trying to sway anyone in either direction, but what would be your appeal to those on either side of the fence, and even those who know nothing about what church policy is? What would you advise?
Something has to keep us together rather than functioning in a manner that is so fractured. You know, when Jesus prayed for the church, he prayed that we would be united. Because there's an enemy out there that wants to divide us.
Absolutely.
And so he is going to find every opportunity through very passionate speeches, through very passionate opinions, to keep us very, very fractured in our own opinions, and in putting our opinions on a pedestal, saying, you know, this is the right thing to do. Coming back to that same point, how do we come together and say, you know what, we may not all agree on this, but together we will function, you know. One of the greatest things that I witnessed, we had a very large delegation of young people, college students, that were represented at the North American Division. I was amazed at the graciousness in which they exemplified the varied opinions of their position. And there was just such a wonderful spirit that they exemplified. They were models to many of us.
Wow, that's
you know, and I thank God for them. I thank God for them, because they are people who love this church. A lot of times we just think just because somebody disagrees with something, they don't love this church. But there are people that may have various opinions, but they love this church.
United or divided, church politics, women ordination, delegation, so many different issues of the church. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ray.
I appreciate you.
It's been a privilege and an honor.
Thank you. Thanks for another episode of Tiny Chair Talks. Catch you around.